right after Dad died, I thought that I could handle it just fine. I thought I was going to be fine. And my husband and a couple of my good friends said, well, Liz, why don't you go in and talk with someone just once? Go in once. And Alive kept calling. They kept contacting me and saying, do you need any help? Do you need any help? So finally I said, all right, I'll meet with a counselor. So I met with a wonderful grief counselor here at Alive named Esther Lee. And she was magnificent because she was able to bring insight to my father's death that I didn't have, and she was able to give me a perspective on my father's death that I didn't have. She brought all the pieces together for me. And it was support I wasn't even aware that I needed, but she was there. I thought of it as something, once Dad passed away, that I had to move on. I had to move on from this. And she told me, she said, we used to think of grief as being a process that you moved through and there were stages that you went through. She said, but what that implies is that there's an end in sight. You're going to move through these stages and then you're going to be done with it. And she said, what we found is that that doesn't happen. She said, this death becomes a part of your life. There's no moving on from it. Now, the pain may lessen or change with time, but there's no moving on. You need to learn how to integrate that grief in your life. And I didn't know what she meant. I looked at her and I thought, well, okay, that sounds good, but I really wasn't sure I understood it. So I ended up meeting with her several times, actually, not just once. I met with her several times. And my father died right before the holidays started. So one time when I came in to meet with her, I said, I'm thinking about the holidays in a totally different way now because this has left a huge void in my life. The holidays seem flat. I can't get into them. And I said, now whenever I look at somebody, I wonder what pain they're masking during this holiday period too, because all of this holiday closeness and things, it's all cultural. It's just something that we manufacture. And it's very painful for people who have experienced a loss. And I said, I look at people and I wonder, what is your pain? What's your story? And she said, that's what I'm talking about. She said, that's how you integrate the grief into your life. It changes the way you approach not just the holidays, but people. It changes your interactions with people. It changes how you look at people. That's how the grief changes your life and becomes a part of your life in a good way. Then I got it. I said, okay, now I understand what you mean. The grief is integrated into your life. So she just really just changed my whole outlook on my father's death and how I was going to move on, or not move on from this point, how I was going to carry it with me from this point on.